All right, good morning and welcome. It's another day of broadcast right here on Voice of the People, VOP. Well, I trust you had a wonderful weekend. Oh, well, for us here, it's back to business, back to serving you the best of television. Today on the show, we'll be looking at who gets what and how when it comes to the leadership of the National Assembly. And also, we'll look at why it has taken this long for Nigerians to evacuate everyone that needs to be evacuated from the troubled Sudan. But first off, we'll go into the papers and look at stories making headlines in some dailies. And joining me to do that is Cyril Abako. My name is Moses Humphrey. Stay with us as we go straight into the papers this morning. All right, going into the dailies, we have the Punch newspaper. We also do have the Vanguard this day, and hopefully we'll touch on everything that we have to touch on this morning. Good morning once again, Cyril.
Good morning, Moses.
All right, great to have you on the show this morning.
It's a great Monday.
It is a great Monday indeed, with loads of expectations.
Sure.
All right, so let's start off with the Vanguard newspaper now. The banner headline here is... will exploit confusion in APC to produce speaker, opposition parties. Interesting. And this one has sub-headlines. Cede Senate presidency to Southeast. Senate caucus tasks Tinubu APC. LP 35-member caucus weighs option to vote and block. Wase, Betara, Jaji, Soli, poll 287-member alliance. Baja, Faleke disagree over alleged misinformation. Gadi intensifies battle on Vay's agenda for reps. Now, underneath that one, you have Max airplane crash lands. Icon merit award. All right, so that's and then Max Air, we owe God our lives. Passengers recount ordeal. Obaro Ikimi, the intellectual as hostage. Osime, racism hits SAR note over Napoli king. All right. And on top of the nameplate, we do have these headlines. Ekweremadu, Gregory Varsity, proprietor, seeks King Charles intervention. FG confirms May 22nd for planned inauguration of 650,000 BPD Dangote refinery. Agric sector growth defies 1.8 trillion naira loan infusion. Stakeholders cite insecurity, flooding, sharp practices. All right, so those are the headlines you have from the Vanguard newspaper. Cyril, what's your take, especially on the banner headline? 10th National Assembly.
It appears the battle is raging, but I don't think it will rage for long. These are just preliminary skirmishes. I want to think that the main theater of war has already been taken care of. In the days to come, how many days left? After the president's inauguration on May 29, president-elect inauguration on May 29, I think by June 13th, thereabout, we should inaugurate the 10th Assembly. It's always like this. They jostle, they fight, they scheme, the clamor, the lobbying, the movements be backstage movements and so on, behind the scenes and in front of camera. But the thing is, let me even go with the issue of Senate President. Akpabio's name wasn't very much. We didn't see him lobbying the president. We didn't see him moving around. We saw Joseph Zakalo. We saw who again? Was it Devumahi or so? Who met the president and said, and I said it here either on VOP this morning or on Political Voice, I've said, it's not the way to go. We have not even seen the Southeast as a bloc putting forward a candidate. Now, are you aware that over the weekend, Akpabio, the South alone has about 7 APC senators, if my figures are correct, while the Southeast has only 6. So even if it was by numbers, the South outnumbers the Southeast. But I mean, in politics, you never can be too sure. Once people begin to align and realign, things could change. The dynamics could be reconfigured. We come to the matter of Akpabio. As soon as Akpabio became came into the frame more visibly. Senator Dave Umahi of Ebonyi, I understand now, has stepped down for him. He didn't step down for Ojo Zokalo. He didn't step down for Osita Ezonaso. He is stepping down for, well, an outsider as it would seem. I don't think he's an outsider, but in a manner of speaking, yes, when we localize the politics, it looks as if Akpabio is an outsider. There's something about politics. Politics, I think, is more about blocks, is more about alliances. So right now, in terms of the reps seat, the seat for Speaker of Reps, we've seen up to 2 or 3 major fora or movements that have emerged. Before now, there was one that came. Then later, I think the paysetters also came up. The reality is this. It's not about those who even come to the media. It's about those who are doing the homework very well. And like I said, it will take another 1 year for us to know who is in the APC, who is in the PDP, and who is maybe in the LP. Then, another 2 years for us to know who is for the APC. You see, you don't always see them for who they are. How they vote. In the end, it's about interest. I mean,
it's about interest, personal interest.
So I come out. You are in the Labour. You are in the Labour Party, and I'm in the APC, and I offer you say, get your members to vote for me. I'm going to give you chairmanship of a Senate Committee on Appropriation, Senate Committee on Works and Housing, Senate Committee on Downstream Oil Sector, Senate Committee on Budget and Planning. Do you mean to tell me that you won't think twice? This is the way it is. Because our politicians have not yet risen up to the point where values and ideology drive what they do. Up until, a generation ago, you could be very certain that the NPN and the UPN could never vote alike. They could never vote the same way. It was clear, but today,
completely different.
You don't know.
It's more of personal.
Political
interests.
parties are just a vehicle for getting to power. Everything else is everything else. So, my thinking is, because we now understand that the president-elect has apparently subtly, reportedly given his endorsement or given his blessing to some names. I don't see, because our politics hasn't yet learned the principle of separation of powers. Where we are is still, imagine that the news is around who the president-elect wants. Mm-hmm. Not that the lawmakers by themselves and on their own are able to go on the floor of the... Do you understand? They are not looking to say, okay, the APC, the PDP, and the fact is this, even this so-called coalition that they're forming, it's a joke.
All right, so let's not push this conversation too far because
it's one of our discussion topics.
We'll touch on it later this morning. Let's go on to another daily now. The Guardian newspaper has these headlines: business opt for unconventional debts as interest rate nears 35%. All right, Osun public education infrastructure in dire straits. Flight disruption in Abuja as Max Air loses landing wheel. Diesel tanker accident worsens gridlock on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. All right, and that one caused untold hardship for Nigerians yesterday. 10th National Assembly, revolt looms in APC. Members kick against imposition of candidates. Sudan crisis, we slept on floor as bullets killed people on bed. That's a lot to take in, actually.
It's a lot to take.
It's a lot to take in.
You know, when the Dapchi girls were rescued, well, one of those school kidnappers were rescued. Moses, I'm sorry to say this on TV this morning. When they brought them to the DSS facility in Abuja, I think, and then from there, I saw these girls holding bottles of Gala Maltina. The brand shouldn't be offended.
I remember that video.
It was on live TV. I saw it. I can't call it any other name. They saw them holding Gala and Maltina. That was what they were held. That's what they were given. They were given. And I was asking myself, are we serious in this country? Do we really mean business as a state, as a nation? Should anybody watching this hold us in high regard and say, Nigeria will hail thee. Should anybody really say that? Maybe because some people knew that we were heading into this kind of time. That's why they removed that anthem. Because it would have been a serious anthem and misnomer to be singing, Nigeria will hail thee. Though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Are we really like that today? Can we really hail this country to say Nigeria will hail thee?
Maybe if we had used that anthem,
maybe it would have reshaped our thinking.
It probably would have.
Because the military came in 1978 and commandeered us into a new anthem and said, "Arise!" You don't command what some that you've not invested in, or that you're not willing to invest in. Maybe the misnomer of that of our reality would have made us to. I'm sorry. Maybe the lines of that anthem would have made us to rethink this misnomer. Because frankly speaking, so this is what I came back from. Are you? I don't want to preempt our discussion. But you are aware.
That's another topic.
There are people who are stranded at the borders with Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia. And if in the name of God, these people actually fled to those borders, they've been told to find their way back to Port Sudan. After we released $1.2 million, they're now being told to find their way to Port Sudan, from where they were related to Nigeria. Look, the reality is this. You saw when they were coronating King Charles III on Saturday. We saw children being piggybacked, holding the flag of the UK, celebrating the fun fair. They are happy. They are glad. In an average American movie, you will always see the flag in the background, or soldiers who are fighting, climbing a tower to go and save the American flag. You think, and you watch it and you just... Nigerians are more loyal to America than they are even to their own country, because people have sold America to them. We don't sell our country to our people. And at every turn, public officials make you believe that Nigeria is not worth the conversation. But hopefully that will change.
Hopefully that will change. But in selling Nigeria now, I know Dora Queenly, the late Dora Queenly, attempted sort of reconfiguration of our minds, but that didn't go far.
No, so I remember, because I was in the university when that happened. In fact, one of my lecturers, who was a public relations expert, actually faulted what he said. There was the need for that project, but that it was a mistake the way they went about it, because if you even went to do image laundering overseas, you are automatically already admitting that your image is dirty. You don't do that at all in you don't come and say, I'm a thief and I want to... No. That's not PR. Now, how did the Colombians do theirs? You remember this whole Colombian thing about their goalkeeper who kicked the ball from the back?
Yes.
And the Colombian national team... That was how Colombia was trying to rework her image in the world arena, because of the notoriety of Pablo Escobar and so on. So that people loved that era of the Colombian football team. People loved it was such about... A lot of people didn't know that government was pumping in so much money into the national team as a means of representing Colombia to the world. Look at what we're doing with all these musicians and even our football. In the arts, Nigeria is extremely good. We have some of the best writers in the world for about two or three generations now. We have some of the best footballers in the world. You saw Victor Osimhen leading Napoli to win. Have you seen...
Victory after 30 years.
What have you done about it? After 33 solid years, what have you done about it? Is the National Film Corporation planning a biopic on him? As they should do.
As they should.
And tell us that this man, the last time Napoli won the tournament was under Diego Armando Maradona. And tell us that what is his name? Victor Osimhen from Olujosun, from the ghettos of Lagos to the pantheon, to where the legends, to the legendary class of Diego Armando Maradona. You tag to them together and say he's not in the same class with Maradona, because Maradona was the last person as far as Napoli is concerned. But this is the kind of thing you do, and then you encourage younger people to do what Osimhen has done. This way you begin to aspect. Osimhen is not Yoruba. He's not outside. Neither is Igbo. He is from a minority tribe in Nigeria. So this kind of, when you sell this to young people and to, it makes, and every Nigerian, you see Osimhen, even if it's not Buhari, at least you are able to make us to come around something that looked like nothing, but now it's a big thing. This is how cohesion is formed. But sadly, you won't. I think I've only read the statement by Bola Ahmed Tinubu congratulating him and saying he's the new king of Syria. There's something I want to appreciate about the president-elect. In comparison, whenever you read press statements from his camp, whether you like them or not, there's something enlightening about their language, which the presidency unfortunately did. You read press statements and you're like, did Garabashe will write this, or are they going to deny it in 2 days? No, it's true. There was no enlightenment. The only thing that stuck for a long time was when Femi Adesina said body language. It stuck. It stuck. But because he didn't have anything to stand on, after a while, it fizzled out. Today, if you did the president body language, people will even laugh you to scorn, right? Later on, he talked about wailing wailers. Apart from those ignominious coinages, I don't see anything abiding from this presidency in terms of how they were able to stimulate. Meanwhile, in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa was quoting a Nigerian novelist in his speeches. Yes, Ramaphosa quoted Ben Okri when he was telling his nation that they should. I've never even seen a Nigerian president quote a Nigerian author. Meanwhile, we have people like Chinua Achebe, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, Chimamanda, the one who wrote Pawine Drinkard. What's his name now? Yeah, but the Pawine Amos Tutuola. Amos Tutuola, whose prose was referred to in Ireland, they said his bewitching prose because his language was not the same thing. Even like I said, when it comes to the arts, Nigeria stands head and shoulders above a lot of countries in the world.
And we have failed in exporting it and using it very well to our advantage.
What Brazil has done is that in Brazil, every year they reveal there's a new soccer revelation, or every 2 years, Vinicius Junior, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, and all of them like that. Every year, you see one new name that they'll just reveal, and the big clubs will quickly run and buy that player. Football is Brazil's own game to the world. When I mean game, not sport, but like that's what they bring to the table. Nigeria can bring our music to the table. We can bring our art to the table. There's a whole lot we can bring to the table. Even our literature can be brought to the table. But clearly, government has shown that they will not be interested, and that any conversation around the arts and art will be a total waste of time. It's a pity. In fact, I think one of these we should have that discussion on this table actually. No, quite frankly speaking, I do poetry. I do poetry. I know that growing up, there was a strong book culture in my house and in my head. But the Nigeria I'm seeing today appears to be loathsome about reading and there's a book famine now.
All right. A lot to ingest and okay, so let's go on with some other dailies now. Let's go to the Punch newspaper now, shall we? On the Punch newspaper, asset declaration is the banner headline here. It says asset declaration. CCB tells Tinubu others to submit forms before May 29. Asset declaration ongoing in 36 states. No swearing in without form submission. CCB. Bureau says defaulters risk removal from office. 40 Ogun politicians obtain forms. All right. On top of the nameplate, we have subsidy removal. Nigerians may spend 8 trillion naira on petrol in 6 months. That one can be found in page 9. You might want to read up on that one. Protest as Northwest backs Akpabio for Senate presidency. My ordeal with aggressive breast cancer, Diezani. Diezani is in the news. All right. And this pictorial here shows the tanker that fell over at Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, causing traffic. It says fuel-laden tanker crashes, grounds Lagos-Ibadan Expressway traffic. And then underneath that one, we have FG airlift 888 Nigerians from Egypt. Plans more evacuation. Osime, From Lagos street hawker to Syria go king. Passengers stranded, flights grounded as FG shuts Abuja runway. All right, so these are headlines in the Punch newspaper. I don't know. Go ahead. Declaration of assets. We've talked about Osimhen already. So let's look at the declaration of assets.
The asset declaration. It comes to nothing. It's a worthless exercise. They will declare the assets, but not making it public. How do we know what they declared? It was only when not Peter Saraki, Bukola Saraki, former president of the Senate. It was when he ran into trouble with some powers that be, that we now had that in his asset declaration forms, there was speculative declaration. What does that mean? That he declared more than he was thought to have had, in the hope that before he would leave office, you'd have acquired to make up the deficit, to fill in the blank space. So, but how do we know what they feel? How do we? Because
so you're of the opinion that it should be made, open. For
no, there are two grounds on which this thing stands. It stands for accountability, transparency, and accountability. So, and who are they accountable to? It is to us, the people who put them there. It is to us. So if President Yaradua declared and made it public. His vice back then, Goodluck Jonathan, said he wasn't going to declare and make it, that he was going to declare, but of course declaration is compulsory, excuse me, but he won't make it public. Okay, so he didn't make it public. When Buhari said he was going to declare, make it public when he was running for office. But then, when he came into office, he said he wasn't the one who made the promise, that it was his aides. But we said, Mr. President, you are the one who said you came to fight corruption. I think there is both a legal side to it and a moral side to it. There's a moral burden on you. If you want to be seen as Mr. Above Board, the least you could do is to declare and make it public. I always say that there's a difference between the manager and the leader. The manager talks about the handbook and so on. So if it means if you want to follow a manager, you could die. Since there is no provision for any meals between breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Even if you're dying, you should die. A leader understands that no, there is room for us to. Now, so in the case, but the vice president, Oyemi Oshiba, just said he will both declare and make it public. For me, I think he held the moral edge over his boss by declaring and making it public. So if, sincerely speaking, anybody wants to come in to say, I am coming in to fight corruption, I think the least you could do, Bola Tinubu said he's going to make corruption unattractive. Where to start from is to declare your assets and make them public. The whole world should know. You have shares in Apple, you have shares in Microsoft, you have shares in all the big pies in the world, it's fine. Let us know what percent it is. So that by the time you leave in office, you don't come to Aso Rock empty-handed, maybe with a nylon bag. And by the time you're leaving, you're the biggest farmer in the world. You own poultry. No, it's not. The government shouldn't be seen as a place to either amass wealth or to empower cronies. It should be a place of pure service. We've seen prime ministers in Europe who go to office on bicycle with a bag strapped on their shirt, maybe containing their laptop. They go out, the way they go in is the way they go out. But in Nigeria, once you're in, you are turned into a demigod. And by the time you're leaving office, you would have amassed. So please,
all right,
declare, make it public. It's important.
All right, so let's touch on one more paper before we call it a day on newspaper review this morning. This day newspaper is the last one we'll be touching on this morning. On top of the nameplate, there is this headline: Dangote, my refinery can save Nigeria $10 billion in FX, generate another $10 billion in export. Tasks incoming administration on public-private partnership. PDP, APC plotting to influence outcome of petitions at tribunal. And underneath the nameplate, Badaru to Wike, thank you for helping APC sabotage PDP in Rivers State. Buhari directs NUPRC to take over supervision of all crude oil export terminals. I beg your pardon, I'll take that one again. Buhari directs NUPRC to take over supervision of all crude oil export terminals. Functions overlap with NMDPRA resolved. All right. And then the banner headline here. 10th National Assembly, APC NWC, meets today to ratify consensus zoning. Leadership tussle worsens as 68 senators-elect reject deal. Group warns Tinubu party not to plunge selves into crisis. Southeast senators caution president-elect against injustice. ACF dissociates self from ex-Niger Delta minister's endorsements. All right, so let's, and then a pictorial here showing Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka and Peter Obi. It says Obi visits Soyinka. And over 143 passengers escaped death as Max Air crash lands in Abuja.
Yesterday.
Yes.
So, we thank God for the lives that were saved. Thank God that it didn't go worse than what it went. What we saw. We have God to thank for this. Otherwise, it would have been a black month. I mean, this morning would have been a different story entirely. But over to the story about some people saying that the Southeast, for example, saying that they against injustice. So I think the picture is clearer now to me. It won't be an injustice if they didn't get the Senate presidency. It won't be. You need it called politics. The verb is politic, right? The noun is politics. The verb is politicking. I don't think any of the Southeast senators played this politics of seeking the Senate presidency properly. Now, Dave Umahi has moved. He's moved on. By supporting Akpabio, I won't be surprised. He will get one of the juiciest. No, I mean, it's the simple truth. We won't appropriation, budget, downstream, maybe constitutional amendment. You know, one of those very prominent committees, he will most likely land it. You don't go to meet the president that is leaving office. There are things you don't do. Don't you know how politics is played? The lobbying, the behind the scenes, for all you care. It is impossible that Akpabio will do 4 years.
Okay, let's leave this now.
Okay.
It's our first topic for today. So
unfortunately, I won't be here.
We'll delve deeper. You just might be here. You never can tell. We'll delve deeper into it much later. So I must say thank you very much, Cyril Abaku, VOP in-house public affairs analyst. We'll take a little breather now. When we come back, we'll be delving into the major first topic for today, where we'll look at the race for the leadership of the 10th Assembly. Who do you see, or who are we projecting? Who gets what and how? We'll delve deeper into that one in a bit. Stay with us. Road signs are defined as symbolized illustrative guidance for road users for safer and more convenient. If you drive a car, ride a bike, or walk, you must obey all the road signs in Nigeria. Road signs are classified into three main types. This is based on the regulatory signs are mostly secular and are of two types. Those with red and yellow circles are prohibited. Those with border signs. Regulatory signs are mandatory and should be followed. They are prohibitory or show directions. Warning signs. Warning signs All right, welcome back. It's still VOP this morning, and Esther joining me right now.
How are you, Moses?
Very well, and how are you doing
splendid.
too?
I'm doing okay.
You look wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, so we're talking about the 10th National Assembly, and now I will dig into what the president-elect said when he visited Port Harcourt. He did say what he said to Wike. He said, you need to lobby me. Now, a lot of people have taken that statement and, tweaking it and caressing it, romancing it. And I ask the question, has the lobbying started? Is this an evidence of the lobbying for positions? Oh, well, we hear that the president-elect has reportedly chosen somebody, chosen a few people that he would like to work with in the National Assembly, Akpabio and Abbas. Is this a result of lobbying? Cyril Abaku, VOP in-house public affairs analyst, joins us for this topic. And I saw this coming, yeah? I did say that you just might be here with us. All right, Cyril.
You did.
What do you make of this statement from the president-elect?
Let me start by saying that I wasn't meant to be on this seat this morning, having this conversation, but things didn't go to plan. Yes, things didn't go to plan. And I find myself standing in to have the conversation.
It's good to have you. Let's just go on.
Yes. Now, it also means that there are those who seemed or appeared to be in pole position to becoming Senate President and Speaker of House of Reps. But things are perhaps not going according to plan. And so some other people seem to be now taking over that position. I wouldn't say that it's done and dusted. I wouldn't say that it's a settled issue. But I would like to think that in the way politics is sometimes played, you don't always, things don't always go the way the popular imagination sees it. So in the case of Senator Akpabio reportedly emerging the preferred choice for President of the Senate for the 10th Assembly, and what's his name? Tajuddin Abbas, the senator from Kaduna Northwest, also clinching the seat of Speaker of House of Reps. Okay, when you look at this kind of constitution or this kind of arrangement, I think I said it here. Maybe it was when we had gone on break. I think it was Esther I told that this was what I had seen.
Envisaged.
Yes, envisaged, based on how things were going, and now somehow it has come to be. It may not always be that it is because some persons lobbied others. It may just be that some persons have come to see that perhaps they may be better off going. They may be safer. Things may be safer for them going to do business with certain persons. So to that extent, I'm not now surprised that I'm seeing the name of Senator Godswill Akpabio being touted as the preferred choice for president of this. I know there are a lot of questions you want to ask. As for president of the Senate, is this Senator Barrow now? For deputy president of the Senate, not Betara, but Tajuddin Abbas for Speakers of Reps,
Wase.
as well as Naida Wase, and as well as Benjamin Kalu for Deputy Speaker of House of Representatives. Let me pause there and wait for another question.
Okay, so right now, to be honest, there's a revolt seems to be looming in the All Progressives Congress as members are kicking against imposition of candidates. One would say that President-elect is known for such style to say, okay, let's do it this way. You're going to do this, you're going to take this position now, don't worry, I will compensate you, just be calm down, And then right now, there are a lot of persons who have the interest as well. All right. Of course, we've already mentioned some of them. There's Akpabio, whom the Northerners are saying they're not comfortable with and they're not supporting. You also have Kalu and other Southeast senators, and they're crying out over exclusion from Senate presidency. You also have Imo Senator-elect Ndubeze, who has joined the race, as well as Uwase, Jaji, Sholi. They all pull about 87-member alliance against Abbas. So the question now is that the APC North Central stakeholders are insisting on speakership and they're rejecting Tinubu's preferred candidate. So where do you see this is going to toe, especially now that on May 29th he'll be inaugurated and he needs to have somebody who supposedly is on his side to occupy the next position as, you know, the Speaker and the Senate President?
Well, first of all, the president-elect is not omnipotent. He does not have all the powers to get whatever it is he wants. And in this case, even if he has preferred Tajuddin Abbas and Senator Akpabio, respectively, for House of Reps and Senate, they've not become Speaker and Senate President. This is all media speculation. He has not said this is, and neither have they become, because even if he wanted them to be, he now wants them to be. They've not become yet. In the end, on the floor of the National Assembly, there's going to be a vote. There's going to be a nomination. And I don't personally think that it will be just one person being nominated. You nominate yours, I nominate mine, we put it to vote. Now, Esther, my worry is when some persons who want to play the political hypocrite will say one thing in the morning and say another thing in the afternoon. How do I mean? We were all living witnesses to when almost everybody was going to lobby, was going to seek, was going to speak with, was going to seek audience with the president-elect as soon as he came back from his trip overseas. And I remember you were asking your guest one morning, you said, if we indeed practice separation of powers under the presidential system of government, why is it that members of one branch or one arm of government are going to lobby a member of another arm of government to seek his endorsement, to seek his support, to seek what may look like his approval before they can become whatever it is they want to become on the floor of either the Senate or House of Reps? They say you beat the drum, and when the music is loud, you can't say you won't dance anymore. You are the one who beat the drum. If indeed anybody is unhappy with the choice of the president-elect, assuming these were his preferred candidates, it's okay. Go on the floor. Politics is a game of numbers. Go on the floor of the National Assembly. The elections will be televised. Okay, let's have Saraki's one was on live TV, right? Let's have the vote on live TV. There should be go on floor of the House and have the election. If you believe you have the numbers, I for one, I've not better say anything.
Okay.
But in terms of the groundswell, everything seemed to be going for him. So if they went on the floor of the National Assembly and perhaps it is Tajuddin versus Betara, let their colleagues be the ones to do the vote.
But there's an issue with that. Femi Gbajabiamila is on adopting Tajuddin. However, based on what the House of Representatives are saying, they're saying that he shouldn't have done that. Apparently, a close confidant is saying, that's James Faleke, is saying that Gbajabiamila is being accused of misinformation. He's creating that sense of misinformation. And so they're not in support of exactly whatever it is that he's doing.
No, that is of Gbajabiamila endorsing Tajuddin Abbas.
Yes, endorsing Tajuddin
It's fine.
Abbas. There was a meeting about last night or 2 nights ago.
It's okay. It's okay. That's why I said, look, all this conversation is about the fact that our politics is still in its infancy. Why are we even talking about endorsement? Gentlemen, you've been elected as representatives elect. This is like how many weeks or weeks or days away?
To inauguration.
When you are inaugurated, get on the floor of the House and do your vote.
I was going to ask you this question. There's a lot of trouble now, just because the president-elect said he would prefer to work with certain people. Should the president-elect be interfering in the runnings of the National Assembly, leadership in the leadership of the National Assembly? Should he be interfering, really?
Well, it's a question that's been asked 1,000 times, and I'll respond this way. He can't meddle.
But he's meddling.
Well, I think that it is more of the mountain going to Muhammad.
I know Muhammad going to the
and not necessarily that Muhammad is going to the mountain. the burden of responsibility is on the gentlemen and women we've elected to the floor of the reps and senate, and not the president-elect. Where did they go to meeting? Where did the meeting take place? At his residence. In fact, when...
So they are the mountain going to
meet the prophet.
Okay.
You know, because when the meeting between Betara and President-elect took place, right? I think it was Betara that issued the statement and said that he had gone to meet his team, that he had met with the President-elect. Well, let's even say out of honor and out of respect. Mr. Tinubu could have as well said, you guys, you want to elect a Senate president or member, Speaker of House of Reps, go do your job. Don't get involved in it. That was what President Muhammad Buhari did. But for what in his first, at least in his first time, 15 to 19, because from 19 to 23, I think he began to he came home to. So in a country like Nigeria, what normally happens is this: your party has an overwhelming majority, and as president, you are the leader of the party. You hold the moral ground, you hold the legal ground. You know, there's in a way things gravitate around you. So you could be persuasive. You could be persuasive. You could influence the process, okay, to an extent. Mm-hmm. So, but because I mean, when you write your bills, when you take your laws to the National Assembly for passage, you want to be sure that when your bills get to the floor of the Senate or House of Reps, the chief whip will help to whip that bill through the processes, okay? And that when it comes to a vote, since your party is in the majority, you should have a smooth sail. So it plays into his own cards, right? But the reality is that the way the lawmakers have gone is like they've surrendered.
I think that's the word.
They've surrendered their capacity for thought and action to a man. So when you do that, do you expect him to fold? Somebody said one time that if they throw sugar in your mouth, your first instinct will it be to throw it out. And you know, I mean, I was very young, and I said in my mind, I said, of course I won't. You know. Mm-hmm. So this is the point. President-elect, they've surrendered. So if anybody, don't take it out in the media. Mm-hmm. Don't take it out against President-elect. Go on the floor. Go on the floor of the national. Look, you know, you find the leadership of the party is not happy with this person and that person. It is because we're still playing what I call fishing pot politics. Where I come from, in my part of the country, a fishing pot of fishing settlement is more like the backwaters of civilization. Mm-hmm. It's in the creeks, in the mangrove, where all that is fish and water. Okay, mm-hmm. So you can't expect much to come out of that. I mean, if you're there, it means you are not even going to school. They are playing politics that is pre-civilization. Wake up, guys! Get on the floor of the national assembly and do your job. Otherwise, you won't even as much as earn the respect of the president-elect when he becomes president. I think that for far too long, we've been used to this pattern that Obasanjo brought up in 1999, mm-hmm. where they will meet and have some kind of arrangement or consensus. Okay, they say, okay, as a party chairman be here, critical stakeholders be here. The president is here. This is his interest. What do we do? Mm-hmm. After they have a backdoor meeting, they say, okay, let's come out. Evans Emerem or Chuba Kadibo, you're going to be the next president of the Senate. When we're going to flop that National Assembly, so then they take care of all the other blocks and interests. But today, the APC, in spite of its gains since 2015, has not been able to significantly gather itself into a common mass. Mm-hmm. So because of that, you know, the chairman of the party before the primaries was not even so keen on the Tinubu presidency, right? Mm-hmm. He had issues with the candidature of the then aspirant Bola Tinubu. So the chairman of the party, I'm not sure if he will be on the same page with the president-elect. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two, you have the issue of the Southeast senators, which I attempted to address during the newspaper review. And I said, you cannot, there are two ways. Look, watch how Nigeria works. You will either form a block in your own local, or the powers that be will by fiat endorse you. Now, it is clear that Southern senators didn't enjoy anybody's fiat. They could not also come together to form a block.
But the APC is saying right now concerning the speakership and Senate president position that for them there is no problem. It's about 280-man combined team of supporters, and they're saying there's no issue in the House. But remember the minority caucus, which is Christian greater majority, headed by Afam Victor Gene. He said the mere fact that 10 persons are still jostling for the speakership position when we have barely a month to the inauguration of President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he's of the opinion that the House of the APC is not in order. If the House is not in order in let's just say a few days' time to the inauguration, then what gives the confidence that they will get to a conclusive arrangement on who becomes Senate president and who becomes speaker?
Esther, I've followed politics in this country for some time now. There are no 10 persons running for House of Reps. With due respect, it's not 10 of them running for the position.
But the minority caucus, greater majority, calling themselves the caucus, the minority caucus, and saying they have about such persons for that within the All Progressives Congress.
Don't worry yourself. In the media, they are running. There can't be 10 persons running for House of Reps speaker. Did you see what happened at the presidential? And this is what normally happens at the primaries of the presidential whatever for the APC. There was a particular candidate who was sending SMSs to members. He was appealing to them that in all good conscience and good faith, he thought he was the best man for the job. I just don't want to call his name. People were pouring dollars. He was sending SMSs. Long story short, he didn't win.
He didn't win, I mean.
He didn't win.
But he was doing his job now.
If you look at, it's fine. His job, right?
He was lobbying.
From the get-go, I wouldn't even think he was in the race. I mean, this is the reality of politics. 10 people are running for presidency. For Senate, for Speaker of House of Reps. 70-something candidates are running for presidency. In the end, one person has 20 million votes. The person coming second has 7 million votes. The person coming third has 20,000 votes. The rest of them, 27, 15, 9. They look like examination number, 001. So even in this same case, the same thing is playing out. Don't let us.
But the question is, why are they waiting for the president-elect? They said he should be just and fair. They urged the president-elect to be just and fair if he wants his administration to succeed. The question is, why is it on the table of the president-elect?
So let me come back to let me address that issue. In the end, it will be a case of, are there enough carrots? Sometimes I say these things, my personal moral lenses won't let me do what I say, but please, because we're discussing politics, I'll just say it. In the end, the matter is, does he have enough carrots to dish out?
That is president-elect.
Of course, if he has enough carrots to dish out, it's fine. Yes, sir, there are no 10 persons running for this, please. It can't be 10 of them. It's not possible.
Okay.
There are not 10 of them.
Okay.
There are not 10 of them running. In the end, it's a question of whether we are ready to accept the fact that some candidates are only candidates of other candidates. One. Yeah, this don't please.
That's more like it.
Some candidates are candidates of other candidates. Okay? You even hear the North Central insisting, not this insisting, not that insisting. I will come to why that is the case. But I'm not hearing the Southeast insisting. You don't insist when one of your bloc has already stepped down for Mr. Akpabio, for example. It means you have, like I said, it is either the president-elect, somebody has said, Ojekalu is my man, or Ojekalu's own local, his own bloc, will come together to say, in the interest of whatever, we put him for. But in a case where you have up to 7 people from one particular geopolitical zone, it means you're not ready to take power. And it means that even if the person who has the power, they fire and just one person out of you, he will not have enemies with the rest. So the best thing for him to do is to leave you alone. Now, on the other issue of, I wanted to come to one more point. Speaking about the matter of the house will be divided. Yes, let me explain something to you. If you score 70, you've scored an A.
Okay.
Moses, am I correct to say that?
Yes.
If you score 70, what have you scored? Is an A. Many years ago, there was a student at River State University, but I think it was petroleum engineering. He was very brilliant. So he scored 72. And he was crying. He was unhappy. Other people too scored low marks and they were crying. So he was among the people. So somebody who knew him said, this guy is brilliant. What happened to him this time around? And the person said, what did you score? He said he scored 72. And he was crying among them. The person said, I somebody scored 49, he's crying. He scored 72.
72, you're still crying.
His own cry was, should I scored 90 something or 100?
Okay.
Now, the point is this. In the end, the question will be, if you have the Northwest backing you, the Northwest has the highest numbers of all the reps and senators because they have more states. So if the Northwest as a bloc has come together to say they are supporting a particular slate, you know what I mean by slate? Senate President, Deputy Senate President, Speaker. If you have the backing of the Northwest, I think you've gotten what in physics is called the critical mass. If you're not able to get the Southwest to support the Northwest, let me give you an expose. After the 2011 elections, there was a strategic political intelligence report that was released in which it was said that if the Northwest and the Southwest came together, had a coalition, that they will take power in Nigeria and keep it for as long as they want to do so. Are we listening? By 2015, that prophecy, that whatever came to pass, because Buhari from the Northwest and Oshibari from the Southwest came together and retained the presidency. That arrangement may not be going anywhere anytime soon, in case we're not aware. You are seeing the issue of Senate President. Have you noticed now that the Southwest has picked an Akpabio? So Akpabio is not South. Akpabio, by this calculation, Akpabio is Southwest as far as.
But North Central is not in support of him.
Hey, hold on, I'm coming. His deputy, is it Barao? Barao is from where? Northwest, Kano. So this is the same thing as Northwest and Southwest having a coalition. On the floor of reps, what have they done? Reps member Tajudeen Abbas. They could have gone to North Central. Couldn't they have done that? They could have gone to North Central or even Northeast. They went back where? To the Northwest. Are we getting calculation? That's like saying, Oga, leave the other people out of it. It is us and you. We are in this together. They went back to the Northwest. That's where the numbers are.
So,
please hold on.
Go ahead.
Now, do you mean to tell me that Igbo reps won't vote for Kalu? They will vote for him. He's a likable guy. I've observed him for some time. He was former Speaker of House of Reps.
Yes, he was.
Current Speaker. No, when I mean Speaker, spokesperson of Reps. Benjamin Kalu from Abia, right? So, whatever Ben Kalu can get will be gotten. Then the block vote from the 7 states of the Northwest added to him. Then they now throw some carrots around and say, you, come. You, do you want this? Come. You. By the time, even if they get 20% from the remaining dissenters, they don't need to score 100 over 100. All what they need to score is 72. In fact, it's 9. But at least let's even say 70. But with what I said, they may even be able to get up to 70, something to 80. If they get between 71 and 75, have they not won? They won. That's why I say, yes, sir, there are no 10 persons running for speaker. It's a joke. 10 persons running for speaker of House of Reps.
But the case of Akpabio is really a cause of concern for some northern members. You know, it has caused some concerns within the northern elites in the House. So they literally, yesterday they said, we do not want a prominent member of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Musa Saidu. He said yesterday that Akpabio's choice was wrong because the Senate president ought to come from the Northwest, a zone he argued gave Tinubu the largest vote. So this time around, if that zone gave Tinubu the largest vote, it should be coming from there.
No.
It's amazing that this is a good corridor because it just feels like they have settled for it already. Like there will be no votes on the floor. This is done and dusted.
I'm telling you.
That's what it feels like.
My zone voted more for you. Oh yeah.
And one wonders why the raising of dust over this statement. Go ahead, please. Serial.
Now, this is why in order to assuage the Northwest, the critical Northwest, where you have all the KKK states, the critical Northwest, Because this thing you're saying is for re-election. Come on. This is for 2027. We are not. This is for
2027. Hey, okay. Continue.
If I may.
Continue.
Okay. This is for 2027. If you don't reward us now, we will show you. So this is for 2027. That's why, having gotten the Deputy Senate President, they came back and said for speakership, take it back there. Take it back there. There's no, just take it back there. Because the arrangement is between the Northwest and the Southwest. And it will be there for a long time to come. I mean, assuming everything remains the way it is.
What can the Southeast do differently now? Because now
okay, good.
They're crying for, they're saying they have been, pushed aside. But from all indications, they have not even come together to form, a strong bond that would make them noticeable.
I remember I told us that this thing, it was off the screens. I think we were done for the day. And I said, what they are going to give out is Deputy Speaker of House of Reps. And I was explaining to her some of those, the dynamics that are at work.
Is that good enough?
Well, as far as geo-ethnic politics goes, it's not good enough. But, like with power is not given. Power is taken. Power is taken. With Senator Orji Kalu, he was meeting President Buhari. I was wondering. Now, do you see that the Northerners are not talking to the president?
You're talking to the president.
The Northerners are talking to the place where to the future power. They are not talking to present power. Because present power has expired. They are talking to the future power. But some persons were talking to power whose shelf life was all but gone. That's the mistake. That's first. The second mistake is, look, don't play the victim. Don't play the victim. Learn the ropes. When you move into a new environment, learn the language, learn how they dress, learn how they learn. Because the fact is that you can't have the short end of the stick year in, year out, and blame the oppressor. You don't. No. I think that you are collaborating with him. Like they say, once beaten, twice shy, right? If once beaten is twice shy, then it starts to reason that the responsibility is on the beaten, not to be beaten again. Learn the ropes and see how this thing is done. How many of them are building bridges and pledging their loyalty? This. I'm sorry that I have to say this on air. It's crass, but in politics, people pledge what is called unalloyed loyalty. And I say it again: Devil Maya appears to be the smartest of the pack. Because at every turn, the man always shows that he understands that the weather patterns might change. I've never seen him, run into, like, he just knows that it's raining, but it could be sunny the next minute, and he's always prepared for what's coming next. He has already stepped down. He was the first to say he was stepping down for Akpabio. At least I've heard him say that. I've read him say that. So that, for those who are, and in politics, people don't forget those who help them. I mean, people like the president-elect. He is a very generous rewarder of
favors. If you do something, if I ask you to do something, you do it, then definitely, I will definitely come.
There was a particular member of the House of Reps, current member of the House of Reps, who somebody approached him one time from the story. I approached him one time and said, I want somebody that I think is deserving to go to the House of Reps. And that person was going to now replace the current member. So the president-elect said, well, it's fine. Who is the person? A very senior elder statesman gave him. He said, okay, it's fine. Let her come over. The president now called this lieutenant of his and said, I'm going to send someone else to replace you in the House of Reps. The man said, it's fine. For the past how many years you've been sending me there? Since you want to send someone else, it's okay. Give me the date. I will go to the constituency, raise up a hand and say, as from today, I'm stepping up for this woman. The president-elect said, what loyalty? Go and continue. Go continue. You're too loyal to be thrown away. Today, that man was instrumental to making him become president-elect. These things is not, if you don't, you see, the thing is this. at the table of men, some men must understand that not all of us are bringing the same contribution to the table. And so I mean, humility is not a vice. It's not a bad thing if you know how to cut your coat according to your cloth. If you know, sometimes if you give some things time, they will become ready. Like things become some things get better with time. For how do I mean? If the Saudi senators maybe are able to observe and understand how this thing is going, and like Umar has done, step down for Akpabio. Like I said, who knows? By 2027, the dynamics could change, and he could become Senate president.
All right.
There's nothing stopping him. But the fact that we just hope that since the Southwestern has become president, automatically the Senate presidency should come to the Southeast. Of course, it looks so that it should go there, but you don't even have the numbers first of all. Neither do you have the politics.
We're back to the numbers.
So how do you then become what it is you want to become?
All right, now let me ask you this: as a political strategist,
well, have I become that?
You have. You have. It's been.
We are calculating.
Do you think the opposition parties can take advantage of the dissension in the APC now, and put somebody else?
I don't see that happening.
Like you said, greater majority that is the minority caucus.
Let's be frank with ourselves. Nigerians don't know what they are getting into, and I hope it. Look, we need to
say that. You make me scared.
I will explain.
Please do.
We need to understand politics from a much deeper perspective. I've not been saying this shortly. The way you are talking of opposition parties and what's it called? The numbers of those in PDP. How are you sure that is the real numerical whatever of the houses? Give it 1 year. The courts are here to sit and decide who really won election and who didn't really win election. Is that not so? Mm-hmm. Yes. We've not started seeing the defectors. Oh, don't let us go there. Give it 1 year. Give it 1 year. Then you know whether you have more of PDP, more of APC, more of ABGA, more of NRM, more of Labour Party, more of people's more of SDP, more of Boot Party, more of
no, that Boot Party. When I saw that name, I was
no. It's not a joke. We will need at least a year or two to really come into terms with what the party structure even is. We don't know it yet. We don't know it yet. And because the way things are not the way they're going to remain. So it is important, let me wrap with this. It is important that the 10th assembly becomes inaugurated first of all, and when they are inaugurated, they have nominations for who wants to be speaker, deputy speaker. The same thing both for the reps and for the Senate president, who wants to be Senate president, who wants to be deputy Senate president. And there should be a vote. If there was already a consensus before they came to the floor of the National Assembly, which I really don't see happening, because ideally, because of Labour Party and other parties, where are they going to have the consensus to? Yeah, but even if they did, when they come and floor of the National, there should be no rancor. Let the leadership first of all be constituted. Once that is done, then we can begin to look at what else remains. In 15 years, when you had some people jumping fence and
no, it wasn't 2015.
That
was 2016.
16, yes, yeah, but no, I think it was even earlier. But in 2015, in 2019, you know that the race for speaker was very tough. Doguwa, Gbajabi Amila, a lot of them we are in the running, seriously in the running. In the end, some people just pulled a few strings and the matter was resolved. that same political machinery is at work right now. I know that this, a lot of what's happening here is not necessarily new to people, okay? It's something that they've seen time and again. In the end, like I said, the candidates of candidates will step down.
The candidates of candidates
will step down. Some of them are just smoke screens for other people. They will step down. When they step down, their bosses will now be told. So once that begins, I mean, in politics, between now and June 13 is a very long time. It's a very long time. It's a very long time. So you start, I mean, before the end of the week, you start hearing stepping down. Endorsement. Oh, aha, you become a strategist now. Stepping down and endorsements, and before you know, the matter will be, hopefully should be resolved. It really doesn't pay us to see them have a fight that is long drawn out, because in the end, it's not in our interest anyway. So.
All right, interesting one, Cyril. Thank you so much. We need to wrap up the segment, but before we do that, okay, the popular song says, "How many more rivers to cross, but can't seem to find my way over." This morning, the question may just be about many more flights to make before all Nigerian nationals are brought over. We'll take a little breather, and when we come back, that's the conversation next.
Road signs are defined as symbolized illustrative guidance for road users for safer and more convenient traveling. If you drive a car, ride a bike, or walk, you must obey all the road signs. Now, these are regulatory road signs and they are mandatory. The one-way traffic sign. The one-way traffic sign is a regulatory sign. Drivers encountering a one-way sign must travel in the direction that the sign is pointing. One-way sign indicates the direction in which traffic is traveling. Drivers must not travel in the opposite direction of the one-way sign due to the risk of a head-on collision. This sign points to an emergency diversion route that guides traffic around the closed section, bringing it back onto the same road further along its length. This speaks for itself. It's the end diversion. This sign informs the road user of the end of the emergency diversion route. This is the roundabout sign. Is that you are approaching out, so drive slowly as you approach. The compulsory cycle track sign. This sign indicates the route cyclists must take. Cycle lane road signs are essential to pedestrians and motorists. This divided two lanes, two-way ahead sign. This sign indicates that two traffic lanes are separated ahead. Two lanes, two-way ahead sign. This sign indicates that two traffic ahead. Four lanes, undivided two-way ahead. This sign informs the road user that there are four lanes undivided for both directions of traffic. Divided four lanes. This sign informs the four lanes for both minimum. This sign informs the road user of the minimum speed limit required in an area, and so drive carefully. This announcement, People P Television. All right, there are still Nigerians waiting to be airlifted from the Sudanese borders with Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia. But they will first have to find their way to Port Sudan. That's an interesting thing. And, well, Sani Guazo, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, gave the confirmation when the latest batch of evacuees arrived in the country when they landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. And we also heard that the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reported that the returnees arrived at the Pilgrims Terminal of the airport at exactly 10:45 a.m. on board a MAX airline flight from Egypt. Well, he did add that the mop-up exercise had been put in place beyond the main phase of evacuation to bring back any Nigerian who wishes to return. Now, you did quote a song at the beginning. I mean, when we wrapped up the other segment, many rivers to cross, but I still can't find my way home. Indeed. Well, many roads to ply, rivers to cross, mountains to climb, and Nigerians are still stranded in Sudan, around Sudan. Well, how many more flights indeed? We've had cases where, buses, 40 buses, 40, right, were hired. And I don't know how many eventually went.
Supposedly
13,
hired.
Supposedly hired. Well, we have joining us this morning to talk about this, the evacuation of Nigerians from Sudan. We have joining us John Akirile, Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning to you, John.
Hello, John. Good morning.
And thank you for having me.
All right.
All right. We also do have Victor Atewe. Good morning to you as well.
Good morning, and thanks for having me today.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Now, Nigeria has taken quite a long time to evacuate its people. I do believe that some countries, did theirs within 2, 3, 4 days. But right here, ours has taken more than a week, almost 2 weeks, in fact. John, this is going to you. What do you think the problem is? Now, have in mind as you respond that certain amount of money was earmarked for this evacuation. $1.2 million was sent. I don't want to go into the first, how it was sent, and it didn't. CBN said there was network problems. It didn't get to those it was sent to, and then they had to get money from somewhere else to send. I don't want to go into that. But hey, this is the amount that was earmarked: $1.2 million earmarked to evacuate Nigerians from Sudan. What is the problem? This is John.
Thank you for that question.
Okay, great.
Can you kindly mute your mic?
I don't know where that is coming from.
Victor, can you kindly mute your mic for now, please? Because we can hear the dog barking at the background. All right, thank you. Please go ahead, John.
Okay, so the first thing we need to look at is, and the question we should ask our public office holder is, what is the worth of a Nigerian citizen outside the shores of Nigeria? What is the worth of their life? And I think by the time they are able to answer that question, that will also determine the rate of response when there are emergencies. And if we are hearing disparity as to who release money and who receive money, and that amount of money, humongous amount of money, is being allocated for Nigerians to be evacuated from Sudan. And this is 2 weeks down the line. Nobody is sanctioned, nobody is queried, nobody is on their toes to answer questions. That will just show you the lackadaisical attitude at the highest order. And that's why in Nigeria, anything and everything goes. If you were to be a family of a governor or a local government chairman that is in that distress, will it take this long for them to be evacuated? The answer is capital no. And we should stop this habit of feeling that Nigerians worth nothing. And that's why Nigerians will never trust their government, because the government have severally, dashed their hopes and not even reckon with them. They are their own government, and that's why you're seeing what is happening now. I think the onus is still the government of the day, even though they are rounding up, they still have some days to go, and they should do the right thing.
All
if
right,
you have allocated money for...
Okay, go ahead, continue.
If they have allocated money and some agencies and there are disparities, I think that should be clear within those agencies. And agencies at this point in time should understand that there are emergency cases that needs to, that needs swiftness and promptness. And there's no need for us to delay anything at all. And so if the money has been earmarked, money should be expended and people should be evacuated to Nigeria safe and sound.
All right, NIDCOM has said about 1,700 remaining Nigerians in Sudan will be evacuated in a matter of days. In fact, they said the most important thing for us to take out of this entire ordeal is that no Nigerian lost their life, with the war ongoing in Sudan. However, they gave a breakdown of the first batch, and the jets and of course airplanes that accompanied as well, making a total of now for 1,471 evacuees so far. Then the question that arose is that there are still some persons still trapped in Port Sudan, but they say in a matter of days they will completely be evacuated. However, critics have come to say if it hadn't taken the outcry of Nigerians here pressing home the immediate response, to immediately airlift Nigerians from Sudan, that possibly now we may not even have had this measure, put together to evacuate Nigerians currently trapped in Sudan. And then the question that comes to mind is, must it always be a tedious process when it comes to the government doing their responsibilities, not necessarily having anyone to cry for, any protest to be held before the necessary deed is done?
Mind you, Fela sang song many years ago. When you listen to any of his track and album, you still relate with those songs, even as a millennial child. Okay, that would tell you that it's not something that is happening now. The same set of people have been in power for over the years, and the same shenanigans have continued, and it's still happening. But let me just say thank you for your platform, because you have been speaking out for a very long time. And that's why it's as if pressures are coming from left, right, and center. And everybody is doing what they ought to do to make sure that the government are on their toes. And that is what good citizenry is all about. It's all about you putting your political office holders on their toes and making them accountable. That is the purpose of their existence as a public holder or a political appointee. And that is what I think we all should continue to do. We should continue to ask for good governance. We should continue to ask questions. We should continue to, call them out when they are not doing that which they ought to do. That is our own civic responsibility as a good citizen. And we should continue in that light. And the more we call them out, the more they respond. And once they respond, it shows that others will wake up to their civic responsibilities. And other political appointees and elected officials will also know that it's no longer business as usual. Once you are elected, you must give dividend of democracy to the people that elected you. And then you must do the right thing. We also have a sane society again.
All right. Victor, so this next question for you. Now, some of the Nigerians who are returning, back home have been expressing what they saw, what they went through, they've been entirely narrating their ordeal. And they literally said when they arrived that the Sudanese officials, that the Egyptian officials actually treated them like trash. They were received by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Nasiru Gwazo. However, here is the situation. Okay, Victor is not with us online for now. And that means, John, you have to respond to this question possibly when he returns, and then we'll ask him back. Now, based on the package, dignity package that we're giving to these returnees, they were able to express the ordeal they went through, especially in Egypt. They said the Egyptian officials did not treat them well because they had bodies piled all around with shells and dark, stagnant pools of blood surrounding them. But, some of them actually said that it was not a scenario that they would expect any Nigerian to witness or be part of or to experience in the course of their life. However, let's go to Egypt, where they said the Egyptian officials did not do right by them. And the question will now be, where has our reputation gotten to, or what level has it gotten to, that, to be honest with you, even beyond Egypt, there are other countries as well, even other African nations, who do not give Nigerians the kind of regard or respect that Nigerians may actually give their own citizens back home.
I think this further corroborates my point when I say that we're no longer giants, or rather we're just giants on paper. And let nobody come and tell me that Nigeria is a giant of Africa. If indeed you're a giant of Africa, why will Egypt treat your citizen in that manner? Then the question to be asked is, what is the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the countries doing? I think they are all members of the African Union, and there should be a bilateral trade. There should be a memorandum of understanding between these two countries, I think. I think we also have an ambassador of Nigeria to Egypt. What is he doing there? And I think it's high time we must, speak sense to power. If you bring somebody into a particular office and they cannot deliver, let them get the hell out of the office and bring people who can do that which they've been appointed to do.
No, but the question is that these are individuals who are fleeing from a war-torn zone. Psychologically and emotionally, they are fractured. And one of them sharing their experience said that the Egyptian officials did not allow the Nigerians access and even molested some of the susceptible ladies. I mean, it has gotten that bad.
That is what I'm saying to you. That is to tell you our words when it comes outside the shores of the country. We are saying the same thing, my dear. Let's not get it flipped up. We are saying the same thing. That will tell you that if in Egypt we can melt out such treatment to our fellow brothers and sisters out there, then what do you think will become of them in South Sudan? And that is why these are indicators to show to our leaders, either the governor, the local government chairman, the councillor, or political appointees, to know that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of reputation. Our reputation outside the shores of the country is not even good at all. And let them know, let's stop lying to ourselves.
Okay.
If that can be done in Egypt in Africa,
John,
then wonder what will happen in Europe, Asia, and in lives.
all right, John. Let's not be quick now. I would rather not be quick to accuse Egyptians. Now let me build a scenario for you now. Nigerians, some Nigerians that were being evacuated from Sudan were told to hold a bit. Those that didn't have permits and passports, they were told to hold on a bit, while others that had their passports would be taken to Egypt. Now, two of them wanted to be smart, maybe out of fear, and wanted to leave Sudan as soon as possible, joined the batch of those that had their passports. Now, those two did not have permits and they didn't have passports. And they were asked to wait aside with others that did not have. But they joined this other team and they were taken to Egypt. Now, when Egyptian authorities went through their papers, they realized that two out of maybe 50 something or thereabout did not have passports, did not have permits, and they angrily sent the entire batch back to Egypt. Should we blame the Egyptians or should we blame our own attitude
Back
of
to
not
Egypt or back to Sudan?
back to Sudan? I beg your pardon. They were sent back from Egypt to Sudan. The entire team, the entire people were sent back because of two people that didn't have passports nor permits. Now, should we blame the Egyptians or should we blame our own attitude for not listening to instructions? The instruction given initially was wait aside with others while we walk your permits so that you can be evacuated when everything is sorted. But no, they wanted to be smart and then they joined those that had their passports. What do you say to this?
I think that is really, really bad. And I'm not really castigating the Egyptian authority. So don't get me wrong. I'm only saying that our own people have left the work that they ought to do. Okay? Now, if Egyptian authority can send back a whole crew because of inappropriateness of just two people, that will tell you how modest their model is. And they're Africans like us. So can we take a cue from them? Okay, no matter the number, if it's not the right way, then the Abbas should go back. That is their own policy. That is their own standard. And that's how countries of the world will start respecting you. I'm sure from this same story, other Nigerians will never try such again because they know even if they get to Egypt, they will return them back to Sudan. And that is sending a strong signal, into correcting the abnormality that has been entrenched in the DNA of most Nigerians by the system. Okay? So I think that attitude for me should never come up again. And I think other members of that crew should get a cane and flog this through. Maybe about 2 strokes of the cane.
That's the thing.
So that they can, they can get back their normalcy because their inappropriate attitude, have made the whole of others suffer for what they know nothing about.
Yes, John.
Okay?
Now,
and that still comes to our system. The question is, how did these people move from Nigeria to Sudan without passport and permits? How did they get in? These are questions that we must ask. And that's why most people migrate illegally, and we must condemn illegal migration from every angle and every quarters. Okay. If you want to migrate in a legal way, so that when you have issues, you can have your document and everything, and then they can trace you back to where you're coming from. So we should condemn in high attitude this attitude that berates and belittles us as a people and as a nation. That attitude should never be encouraged. And if I was part of the batch, personally, I would flog these 2 people because they have, dragged us the more in the mud, even though our leaders have done worse than that to all of us as citizens.
All right, then. Thank you very much for your response, John. I was saying that's really the thing. I mean, we see our own bad behavior play out here. When you ask people to stay on a queue, and Nigerians will not want to stay on the queue. It seems to be a problem that needs to be addressed from infancy, because some Nigerians would rather jump the queue and try to play smart to get to the front of the line, as against just staying in line. I think that was what played out. And if you talk about not having passports, yes, maybe as they were running around because of the war, they might have misplaced their passports, and they needed permits to indicate that they are Nigerians and they are going to be evacuated. Just maybe. Now, we do understand that Victor Atewe has joined us again. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Right. And I'm so sorry for that break in transmission, I would say.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Now let's look at some Nigerians have escaped to, I use the word escape loosely. They've escaped to Ethiopian border and Saudi Arabian border. And now Nigerian authorities are saying, if you are at the Ethiopian border or if you're at the Saudi Arabian border and you wish to be evacuated to Nigeria, find your way to Port Sudan, because that is where evacuation will that's where airlifting will take place. What do you make of this statement, really? Also,
thanks for that question. Yeah, thanks for that question. It goes to show once again about our ineffectiveness in governance and, of course, in valuing our people. Now, you recall that, Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom, less than 48 hours moved to Port Sudan to evacuate their people. It was all over social media how they cared for them, make sure they are fine. It goes to show how we prioritize our people. Now, given to the fact that they said that any Nigeria in Ethiopia or Ethiopia border or at Saudi Arabia border should please move to Port Sudan. I think it's rather coming late, and this also, I want to blame the whole communication system. from NEMA to, I don't know how they correspond or how they communicate within intergovernmental agencies. And this goes to show that, there's no unison of communication within our government agencies, because before now, it's taken 2 weeks to evacuate our people from a war zone. We're talking about places that our life means nothing. Like anybody can be caught in a crossfire. And we are now passing information to tell them to cross over. What's the security architecture to move these people from wherever they are to Port Sudan? That is left unanswered. Secondly, how do we intend to make sure, the people that are there, how are they being fed? How are they being taken care of? Now, I'll tell you firsthand. I think I witnessed, evacuation of Nigerians when in Ukraine, when they moved over to Poland, because I was a Poland border then. We had to make sure that the Black community were, they have a safe transit to Poland. The same thing happened. Our Nigerian people were being asked to move to Warsaw, as in the capital of Poland, to, from there move them. And at a point there, they were stranded because they told that the airplane couldn't leave because there was no permission. This just goes to show how polarized our system is as a person. We are supposed to be, I use the word supposed deliberately, to be the giant of Africa, but we treat ourselves with so much levity, as if we mean nothing to ourselves. For me, telling them to move is rather too late, because the reason is you can only tell people, what is the transportation system or arrangement, as it were, is being put in place for these people to convey them down to Port Sudan. You want them to move so they could be caught in a crossfire and something will happen and they will lose their life. They know how we treat ourselves. So, asking them to move, it's good, but it's rather coming too late for me.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Victor Atere. Unfortunately, we don't have much time on the show. I must say a very big thank you to you for joining us this morning. And also, thanks to John Akirele, political strategist, for being part of the program as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Apparently, a lot of work still needs to be done. There's a lot. We don't seem to have learned anything from previous evacuations from war-torn areas. We still make the same mistakes. Imagine Victor saying that apparently the same thing being experienced now was experienced in Poland.
Same as in Ukraine, as well as in South Africa.
Oh, well, let's see now. Let's go on to business now. In business, we hear that Dangote refinery, established by Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, is scheduled to be inaugurated on May 22. Now, according to presidential aide Bashir Ahmed, the inauguration will be done by the president, Muhammadu Buhari. In a tweet, Ahmed said efforts by the federal government to make Nigeria self-sufficient in local refining of crude oil to save the scarce foreign exchange used in the importation of petroleum products have received a boost, as the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery, the world's largest single train refinery, is set for inauguration on May 22nd, 2023 by the president. And an invitation seen by VOP TV stated, save the date, Monday, May 22, 2023, for the official commissioning of Dangote Oil Refinery and Petrochemicals. Well, the Dangote Refinery complex is located in the Lekki Free Trade Zone area of Lagos. The refinery is the biggest in Africa and also the biggest single train refinery in the world. Interesting. And that is bringing more life to that part of town, of course. Now, our latest findings and industry data has shown that petrol consumers may pay about 8.4 trillion naira for premium motor spirit, PMS, popularly known as petrol, between July and December 2023, once the federal government stops subsidy on PMS in June. Now, this represents about 250% increase from the 2.4 trillion naira PMS consumers would spend during the period if the government chose to retain the subsidy regime. Oil marketers have explained that the average cost of petrol could rise to about 700 naira per litre from July, should fuel subsidy be brought to an end in June, as projected by the federal government. 700 naira per litre. Well, this development means that the expense by Nigerians for fully deregulated petrol could rise by 6 trillion naira during the 6-month period, going by the insistence of the government that fuel subsidy would end in June. 700 naira per litre of fuel.
Moses. So what's going to happen?
700 naira. That's a projection. That's a projection. It might be more. It might be more.
Okay. Well, company owners that have employees start increasing salary. That is the only way that...
Well, we should fix our refineries.
Well,
we should fix our refineries.
I do think it's going to be possible between now and when that happens. Although the one at Lekki definitely will be commissioned on the 23rd of May this month, and a couple of political elites and the presidents have actually said, well, that's a good thing, that possibly that will provide some succor.
Yes, Dangote refineries, yes, should go into work, but Nigeria, we should also fix our own refineries. That is the only way to ensure balance.
They've been saying this thing for years. You think it's deliberately been left dormant to be
That's unfortunate.
to not be maintained?
That's unfortunate.
All right, so this is a segment like I always tell you guys that I like. It's entertainment this beautiful Monday morning right here on VOP Studios. Okay, so Rema becomes the first African artist to hold a World Guinness Book of Record. Yippee! So maybe record star Divine Ikubo, of course whom we know as Rema, marks entry on the Guinness Book as it has won the first #1 hit on the official MENA chart, the first world's original streaming chart record with his hit song Calm Down. Baby, calm down, calm down. Well, Rema was recognized for securing the first #1 hit on the world's first regional streaming chart and first ever official chart in the Middle East and North Africa. Congratulations, Rema. Yippee.
Congratulations to you, Rema.
Okay, so this is also another drama in the entertainment scene. Now, Chris Brown was seen arguing with Usher Raymond in a viral video amid reports of fight at a birthday party. Chris Brown, he never disappoints. International music stars Usher Raymond and Chris Brown got into a heated argument during the latter's 34th birthday bash in Las Vegas. Now, the alleged altercation between the two famous US singers occurred on Friday night at the Skate Rock City roller rink in Las Vegas. Now, it was gathered that Brown was celebrating his birthday in the company of close friends, including Usher. The party had started on a good note as Usher, Chris Brown in viral videos celebrated and performed in front of the guests in attendance. However, reports emerged that things changed in the early hours of Saturday. Chris was set up attempted to initiate a conversation with Tiana Taylor, the US dancer, but was ignored due to whatever reason. You do know Tiana Taylor, right? The lady that sang that's guys on where she dances. You know, she's into all this fitness, whatever. Okay, so this infuriated Brown, who started to yell at Tiana.
Oh wait, he was trying to talk to her. And
yes, exactly. And he got angry. I want to think that he was inebriated. Okay, so he started to yell at Tiana, and that's when Usher intervened and tried to calm him down. But Chris wasn't having it. In videos making the rounds, he was seen cursing at Usher and Tiana, but then mostly focusing his anger directly at Usher. According to eyewitnesses, Brown took off with his crew and Usher went after them. They allegedly met behind some chartered buses, and later Usher was reportedly spotted with a bloody nose. Wow, woo. Now, after the news of Chris Brown arguing and reportedly brawling with Usher surfaced, fans took to the Twitter handles to post their reactions on this incident. Moses, really?
Well, these are two. Brown still acts like a young person. He still acts 24. Like a child. He's a grown man now. He's a grown man, but he still acts like a
father
child.
Of kids.
Usher, on the other hand, I don't know why he got himself involved in that.
You should have just left him alone to go. You shouldn't have acted like big uncle. I think he was trying to act like a big uncle.
Yes, Usher is one that I respect, but unfortunately, well, they're men, so they'll work things out. in no time.
That's embarrassing. After somebody that came to celebrate with you, dance with you, as per my body and all,
Probably
you ended up giving me a bloody nose.
Probably under the influence of something.
Wow.
Maybe alcohol.
No, maybe, definitely. You do know what goes down in those clubs.
I don't know.
All right,
I don't
you don't know.
Moses. I don't go clubbing. So I don't know.
Okay, so Eniola Badmus to chair entertainment committee of Tinubu's inauguration. Nollywood actress Eniola Badmus has been appointed the chairman of the entertainment committee for President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu's inauguration. Now, ahead of May 29, 2023, of course, which is in a couple of days, preparations are already in top gear for the president-elect swearing in. A trending list on the internet showed that the actress will be chairing the entertainment committee for Tinubu's inauguration. Members of the group include Sahi Balogun, Toyin Abraham, Sheyi Law, Lawa Olalekan, also known as Kunga, and singer Chudi K, amongst others from the entertainment industry. Recall that Eniola Badmus, who is a strong supporter of the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 election, had in February begun the distribution of the Ashwebi selected for the celebration and swearing-in ceremony. Oh yeah, Bagwe. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a showdown on May 29. As you can see, Ashwebi is already being sown. Celebrations are in top gear. When he was, when INEC, eventually announced him as the winner, we didn't really see a lot of celebration like, a couple of people did in their private residence. I think he was saving it for the inauguration on May 29. Interesting. All right, that's basically all we have in the entertainment scene this beautiful morning.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day.
And I'm Esther Wanchiko. Remember to subscribe, share, like. It's Voice of the People TV on YouTube as well as on social media. It's at VOP TV like. So make sure you like, you share, and join us right here from 7 up until the rest of the day. Bye for now.